guys and gals, what's going on? Me, Son here. Today's podcast is going to be about John McTiernan. For those of you who don't know, he directed Die Hard. Yes, Die Hard. What else did he direct? You might want to know. Well, I don't want to guess, but I think he also directed. He directed Predator. He also directed Die Hard with a Vengeance. He also directed Last Action Hero and the remake of the Thomas Crown Affair, and the Hunt for Red October. This guy, honestly, he revolutionized action films. He did a. He also made some shitty movies like Rollerball. You guys probably don't remember that. That's how bad it was. Came out in 2002, starring Chris Klein and Ella Cool J. Yes, and Rebecca Romaine. But he kind of revolutionized action films. Before that, action films weren't really that big of a thing. They were starting to get up there, but they weren't really that big of a thing. But with Predator and then Die Hard back to back, and then a couple years later, The Hunt for Red October, he made him a thing. And look how Die Hard's still going today. So what am I talking about him for? No, I'm not talking about the fact that he went to prison. No, 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 no. I'm talking about the fact that he started shitting on today's action films. I'm gonna read this article from theplaylist.net. It's called John McTiernan dismisses Mad Max Fury Road as a corporate product. Says comic book movies are made by fascists. Ouch. Dang. I mean, he's coming at it hard. Let's hear what he has to say. John McTiernan was once the king of the Hollywood action blockbuster. The director earned a reputation for making some of the best big screen spectacles of his day, with Predator, Die Hard, The Hunt for Red October, and Die Hard with a Vengeance all to his name. However, he hit a major bump in the road in the early 2000s with two major flops, Rollerball and Basic. Ew. Failures that were compounded with legal and financial trouble that has essentially curtailed his career since. But as an Academy member, he still sees pretty much everything, and what Hollywood has to offer these days hardly impresses him. Honestly, I'm I'm not exactly right with him, but I'm not too impressed with what Hollywood comes out with today. Not a lot of originality. But let's see what he has to say. In an interview with Premiere, and the director had tough words for one of the most acclaimed films of last year, George Miller's Mad Max Fury Road. The picture was praised for its intense, astoundingly choreographed action scenes, but McTiernan was hardly moved. He said that, by the way. Corporate product, he scoffed. Though he added that he liked the first Mad Max and Babe. Yeah, those are great movies. As far as the current charm of comic books, movies coming out of Hollywood, again, McTiernan is not a fan. These films are made by fascists, he stated, adding that comic book heroes are for businesses. Ouch. Let's talk about. I mean, he hasn't so far said much about Mad Max. He just kind of wrote it off. I mean, I guess you can understand why he's saying Mad Max might be a corporate product, because it's been so long since there's been a Mad Max sequel that he's seen that maybe it was just out there, make a buck, merchandising, and what have you. But, I mean, I liked Mad Max. A lot of people did. It got nominated for a bunch of Academy Awards, won a bunch, got nominated for Best Picture. It was a genuinely great movie with great filmmaking skills. And while I agree the original Mad Max and Babe were great films, and George Miller's a fantastic director, I mean, I don't think he made this just for the quick buck. I think he made it because he felt there was a story being there. And just hearing this guy in interviews, George Miller, that is, he wouldn't have just made it just for money. He made it because he saw something there. And I don't agree with all the politics that are inside the movie, but he tried to do something artistic. And he's going to go more into comic book, particularly with Captain America. Captain America, the cult of American hypermasculinity, is one of the worst things that has happened in the world during the last 50 years. Hundreds of thousands of people die because of this stupid illusion. So how is it possible to watch a movie called Captain America yet? I don't know. I hate how some people bring up hypermasculinity. Usually it's feminists, but it's surprising that he's, talking about it. I don't. It's just funny, hypermasculinity It's such a funny term that's being thrown out there because when you go and delve into it, you don't really see what's the difference. There's no real big difference in hypermasculinity and actual masculinity. I think people mistake hypermasculinity for people like pseudo masculine or people acting masculine when they're actually insecure, or they're trying to cover up something. Captain America, honestly, I'm not the biggest Captain America fan. I thought the first two movies were alright. This last movie was really good, but that's mainly because Robert Downey Jr. was in it as Iron Man. It was basically, for all intents and purposes, it was basically an fourth or third Avengers movie. It was basically an Avengers movie without the Hulk. He wasn't in it, and Thor wasn't in it. But you know, I don't really quite get exactly what he's saying. He's saying that people look at what Captain America and be like, oh, that's what I should be. Captain America is a pretty chilled character. He's not. I don't see how you could say, even if you believe in the hyper masculinity stuff, how you could say he's hyper masculine or whatever. It doesn't quite fit the bill. So, continuing. However, just to be clear, McTiernan isn't a total crank about everything in Hollywood, saying that Joe Silver, who produced Predator and Die Hard, of course he loves him, will always produce real action movies. And weirdly enough, the director's a huge fan of Ben Affleck's Argo. Argo was a great movie. He did something incredible, and he was a better actor than in all of his other films. Normally, when a filmmaker gets on screen, it's the opposite. He puts his ego aside. He began to act like a hero in a John Ford movie. I agree, and it's very different from his other roles. I agree with him here. There is something about him that a lot of people find annoying. This arrogance, this coldness, it disappeared in this film, he said. I agree, Ben Affleck was great in Argo. I'm surprised he didn't get nominated for Academy Award. It's probably honestly, his best acting job. I liked him in that one movie, Extract, that Mike Judge movie with Jason Bateman and Mila Kunis. He was funny in that one, too. He shut his, we're getting off track here, but I would say Ben Affleck's, and he was great in Gone Girl. When he shuts his ego and just doesn't give a fuck, that's when he's the best. Anyway, by this point, you would be asking why doesn't McTiernan put his money where his mouth is and go make another movie? Well, that's the plan. It will apparently be a female-led action movie. Oh boy. Shot in Europe with minimal dialogue, making it easy to produce both English and French language versions. The film is being backed by a French producer. And according to Quest France, the story will be revolve around an orphan child and a woman, with McTiernan dreamcasting Kate Blanchett for the lead. That'd be dope, actually. The script is ready, but the project isn't a go just yet. So until cameras roll, McTiernan will have plenty of screeners to watch, and likely plenty of opinions to go along with them. Now, it's interesting how you could tear this apart. It's not a terribly long article, by the way. It's pretty short. I actually was reading one by IndieWire like yesterday, and that was even shorter. And he sounds like you can say he sounds like an old guy who's just not hip with the times. But let's really think about what he's doing. Okay, you got Die Hard. What made Die Hard super cool? Bruce Willis's character felt like a real person. You got this guy. He was divorced. He had his problems. He wasn't a perfect character, and he was kind of like an everyday man, every man. And he was able to freaking save the world from terrorists. There was humanity to these stories, and a lot of action movies these days don't really have it. Now, Marvel is coming out with all these movies, and I actually am a big fan of Marvel movies. I'm not the biggest Captain America fan, but I like the Iron Man movies, Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi ones, that is. I like the kid who played Spider-Man in the Civil War movie, Captain America Civil War movie, so maybe he'll do a good job. And Thor's all right. You know what? The ones that and then the Days of Future Past, the X-Men was really good. I don't know about this one. I haven't seen it yet. I've heard mixed things about it. But I feel like Marvel is doing good stuff, and I feel like Marvel actually can capture humanity pretty well in their films. But I guess he's feeling that these movies don't really have a lot of character with them. If you take Marvel's side, that might be true. Like, I haven't seen. Just a few movies I haven't seen. I haven't seen Batman vs Superman yet. And one of the biggest complaints I hear about Batman vs Superman is like, it's all visuals, no substance, blah 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 blah. That's a big complaint with. I'm surprised he didn't mention Michael Bay movies. Michael Bay movies are the biggest offenders of these. You got Michael Bay doing Transformers 1 through 4. And I actually liked the first Transformers movie. It was kind of interesting to watch. But after that, it was just, some bullshit, to be quite honest. There wasn't a lot of substance in these movies. Not a lot was really going on in these films. And it was just, like, nice eye candy. Visual porn, if you will. Well, visual porn. Movie porn, if you will. And it wasn't, it was just a bunch of explosions and robots. And the school he came from, he's like, not saying these guys aren't filmmakers, but he's like a director first, filmmaker first, then he makes action movies. A lot of these guys go in and just want to make these cool action movies. He's more concerned about story and character, and then he'll worry about the action. The action is just a byproduct of the story. And it's like if something happens, there's a bomb about to set off, then of course a big explosion. But it's not about the explosion for him. It's about what's going on with these characters, what their mission is, what their purpose is, and who these people are. So that's what I think. That's probably why he liked Argo, because Argo wasn't an action film even, but it was it was a thriller. It's a tense movie, and it was taken very seriously. It's a well-made thriller, and we both agree Ben Affleck did a great job. He did a great job directing it too. He should have been nominated for that Academy Award, got snubbed, but who cares about the Academy Awards anyway? And I guess that's just what his issue is. And like I said, if you look at the action movies out there, most of them fit that bill. All, even I'm a fan of the Fast and Furious movies. I'm surprised he didn't mention these. I don't know why he's going after Mad Max and Captain America, especially Mad Max. Mad Max was so good. Like, from a filmmaking wise, especially the fact that he wants to make a movie with a female lead. He should look up to Mad Max. Mad Max I'm not gonna say it's a feminist movie, but I don't even say it had a feminist message, but there were overtones of feminism in that movie. And the fact that this guy's talking about hyper masculinity hints that he's a supporter of that cause. So, so maybe he should take another look at Mad Max. And the way Mad Max was shot was beautiful, and like you could tell it was well crafted. This guy was on. Yes, there were some mistakes here and there, and stuff you're like, what? But it's forgivable because it was just so well made. It was such a cool ride, and the story was true. And then like you could tell he was trying to do something artistic. But like a movie like Fast and Furious, I think it was 7. Like I enjoyed that movie, but like it was ridiculous. you guys gotta watch it. Cinema Sins. For you know, what is it called? Cinema Sins. Everything Wrong with Fast 7. I think he did 2 parts to that. You have the freaking Vin Diesel and the late Paul Walker. In I think it was a convertible. No, I think it was like a Corvette, and they jumped buildings. And they made it. He took off 1,000 points. I mean, he added 1,000 points because of that. He added like those movies. I mean, even then those movies had heart to it, and it was kind of sad. But I don't know. I feel like he kind of was hard on these Mad Maxes and Captain America, Mad Max and Captain America. Like I felt that. I don't know. Maybe he wishes he was still doing that. Maybe because he hasn't directed in a while, and the last movies he directed were duds. To be quite honest, he's not that kind of guy anymore. He's not considered a big director anymore. Most people haven't even heard of him. They've heard of his movies. They like played like on Turner Classic Movies, and. But I thought this was interesting. I'm hoping that he gets to cast Kate Blanchett in that movie because that sounds interesting. But to close this out, I want to mention more about his hypermasculine things. I hate when people say that because look, like I said, hypermasculinity when you put it against what masculinity really is, there's not much of a difference. I feel like people who say that someone's hypermasculine or whatever, that person's really either immature or doesn't really have an idea of what masculinity really is. So they're trying to put up a front, and it's not hypermasculinity is not a real problem in this country. It's a problem that's created by feminists, to be quite honest. And the whole fascist thing is ridiculous. This is funny. I mean, yeah, maybe I agree with one thing he said though. I mean, there's a few things I agree, but one thing I really agree with that comic books heroes are for businesses. It's true. Hollywood's really cashing in on these comic book movies. They make money. You can't blame them. Like what? Age of Ultron made a billion. Age of Ultron made $1 billion. Captain America, the Civil War movie made $1 billion. Avenger movie made $1 billion. I don't think Guardians of the Galaxy made $1 billion, but it made a lot of money. Let me actually check how much Guardians of the Galaxy made. Let's see. That made. Ooh, I went down too far. Uh-huh. It made a lot of money. It made $773.3 million. So like these movies make bank even when they, even when they don't catch $1 billion, they still make close. I mean, they're making a lot of. Days of Futures Past, I believe, made a lot of money. Days of Futures. I heard that the last one, um, the last X-Men movie, I think it's called Apocalypse. That one did not make a lot of money. But still, like these movies. Yeah, Days of Future Past made $747.9 million, and you have X-Men Apocalypse, which apparently was disappointing. Still made over $500 million. So a disappointment is $500 million. There you have it, folks. So then these movies make money. So you can't. I guess one part you can't blame Hollywood, but the second part I can understand the frustration with that because they're not making anything that's really original and it's really different. Now he can't really. I think his frustration is the same frustration that Charlie Kaufman has, that he's having trouble getting. Well, he seems to have financing for his movie, so I guess Charlie Kaufman is having worse trouble than him. But I guess his trouble is that he can't get Hollywood to finance the movies that he wants to make. So he has to go to France and have the French finance his movies. Kind of like David Lynch. He can't. He has to work outside the Hollywood system. He doesn't really want to do that because he's been working in the Hollywood system ever since his directorial debut was what, Predator. He's been working the studio since forever now. That's probably like his major frustration. He feels that he could do better than Mad Max and Captain America. He's like, fuck these movies. I can do much better than that. Maybe he can. I mean, he kind of revolutionized action films. He made that genre what it is today. I know James Cameron did a fucking great job too, but he kind of really like changed that game. So I'm interested to see this movie whenever it's mainly comes out. I think he'll do a great job with it. But yeah, just I hope he stops throwing around the hyper masculine stuff. I hope this movie's not ultra feminist. It's a female lead in an action movie. It could be interesting. Kate Blanchett is a brilliant actress, so I'm sure if he can get her, I think he could get her. He's accomplished enough. He's made a lot of good movies, so he could do it. So I'll look forward to that once it comes up. So thank you all for listening to today's podcast. If you like this video, just please click that like button. And if it fancies you, just click that subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below. And until next time, later days.